Thanks, Frankie. We're actually going to take a look at Andalex and Sado. This is a duo that's on the borderline of the upper bracket. I believe in terms of series points, they've got around 345, which put them at 47th when I believe it's 50, Jacob, if not 55, that make it to the upper bracket. So they're right there on the borderline. All they need to do is close it off with a good end to these qualifiers. And it looks like they know that because they're playing it extra safe here.
Yeah, give or take like a top 50 position here on the leaderboard, maybe closer to around another 47th place, which is where they're currently at on the series point leaderboard, ironically enough. And with what we've seen from this team, even dating back to last major, from what we've seen throughout the first week of the qualifiers, I would be more surprised if they don't make the upper bracket than if they do make the upper bracket, especially with how sound they're actually playing here right now.
Another duo. Very popular veterans of EU, Pablo and Bevis. And so far, I mean, they're just kind of chilling. Keep it a buck here, Jacob. They're just vibing out, emoting. 2 Flowberry Fizzes, 3 bananas in the loadout. I mean, at this point, things start to slow down a little bit, especially if you're able to get some eliminations off the start of the match or even in your mid game here and you know you have enough damage. You don't want to take any risks. You don't want to get eliminated in these zones when you have enough loot, mats, and damage to make it to the end game, as it's all about consistency in these formats where you have 10 matches in 3 hours to get as many points as possible, being the last chance as well for all of these duos to qualify to the semifinals. You don't want to be getting knocked out early.
Nah, it's almost a very disappointing thing to where you're looked at as one of the players in the region that has qualification on lock, and then things slip up. They don't go your way in week 1. You put a lot of pressure on in week 2, and if it doesn't happen, it kind of does stuff mentally, and that's where I'm looking at some of these teams. You know, it's not only about the mechanical skill, it's about that mental fortitude to be able to stay tough in situations like this. As Sined is just getting targeted out inside of the bush or not, down to just 65 HP, and you can see he's waiting for his teammate to reunite before a lot of these heals start to come out.
Trying to figure out, what do I use? They got big pots, they got splashes, they got a Flowberry Fizz. What's the most efficient way to get both of us healed up here? Is what they're thinking. As we can see as well, some duos already based up on the Rift Island. Others inside their, I'll call it Storm Surge bases. Very elevated. A lot of field of view here on the opposing duos rotating through the map. With that DMR in hand, it's a good combo to get those tags.
Yeah, it's one of the changes we've seen very, very drastically from DMRs in the past to a season like this, is with everything being projectile, it makes it much more of a weapon that has a use case in lobbies just like these, especially once you get into more of these set style lobbies to where it's only the best of the best in competition, to where you don't want to have your surge plan be just get into a box. You want to have as much distance as possible and as little risk as possible to get that damage, and that's why you're seeing so many players carry the DMR and then switch them off towards the end game when they have an opportunity to pick up something else like heals or maybe even a Thunderburst.
You can see a lot of players as well. A common trend is boxing up on top of the rifts that appear under the Rift Island, they can use to rotate through when that zone closes, even just using the launch pads on the island. You got to be careful though, because there is going to be duos that are already based up inside of those upcoming zones, and they will be looking for you as you're gliding on through. Yarko, Darkest though. Trying to think here, are they in an engagement, or are they just kind of taking pop shots back and forth with the duo below them? Both teams with full HP and shield.
A little bit of chess match. Trying to see if they can get some damage for that surge. And as other teams move in, because right now they are in center zone, that's when things will typically slow down. They make that final decision if they want to fight or not. And as that other team started to move in, Yarko started to shoot some shots in that direction. Let him know, like, hey, we at least see you, even though his intention might not be to fight him right away.
A lot of the times in these matches, you'll see exactly that. It's kind of people starting engagements, but not with the end goal of getting eliminations, more just doing damage to the opponents and not putting themselves at a risk of getting eliminated. Just taking pop shots back and forth in a box fight. Especially when you have this position that you're so centered zone, and you know that there's going to be a lot of duos rotating towards you. You can't even take shots with those players. Money maker for 9. being one of the duos that has to rotate in.
$80 points so far. Slowly but surely trying to climb up the ladder. You can kind of see the storm surge thresholds there on the right, and it's not typically to this 5th, even 6th zone that you're seeing here where storm surge starts to turn on for a lot of these players, and you see how many need to fall before everybody's safely gonna have that storm surge turn off. But for Moneymaker and for Nyan, it's very, very worrisome, or little worrisome right now, since they're continuously climbing above that damage threshold, making it to where they don't need risky peaks, but when you're Moneymaker, you peak when you want to peak.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw it appear as 50 players for 6th zone. That was the threshold, so only 6 players need to be eliminated in theory here. With the amount of snipes that Moneymaker has hit, 641 above is more than enough to not be worried about doing more damage. So they're going to use that mountain goat strategy again, go on the edge of the mountain here. Have a good amount of vision on the players below, but also if they need to rotate back above, they will not have too much of a problem doing so.
22 continuously climb. Good. They were able to get the elim. They dropped him just into the box. They fell through like a hot knife through butter, and with a 2v1 they made that one look easy. Storm Surge being a real push and pull game for a lot of these teams, especially for those that haven't necessarily found the consistency to be able to handle it.
Deckzee Eclipse, this was the duo that was just kind of taking pop shots at the opposing team without fully committing to the engagement. And once again, they're kind of just playing it extra slow, getting to zone, and not too many worries at all in terms of damage.
Two Bloodberry phases here. It's gonna be a huge pushing point. It's Jarko. That was who got dropped into the box. His teammate moments ago. He's able to get a knock onto one. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there. Accidentally picks up his teammate, trying to throw him as a distraction here. This is what you earned, but he goes down all the same. But luckily for them, the way the format works, they can get right into another lobby.
I mean, it kind of worked picking up his teammate in a sense. He blocked that initial shotgun shot, but the SMG did more than enough damage to finish him off. The Slove here. Only 38 above. This is a lot more of a risky situation to be in. Oh, this could be it, though. The box almost comes through, unable to continue it, though, as he's going to be the one that gets cracked.
Yeah, you can kind of see everybody, all the decision-making in progress, where they're moving forward, kind of second guess, backtracking, 11 above, trying to spot somebody through this build to who they could target, but almost get sprayed back. And now you can see, like, hey, maybe that's a solo down there by himself, but as they're 45 above the damage threshold, they're at least feeling comfortable to survive for now while remaining proactive and getting the information of where not only the next rotation is going to come in, of where they can get the surge on somebody else.
For now was the key word there, as now they're 36 below, 16 above. It's going back and forth. It's like a light switch just flickering. They need to find something here as they continue to find a pickaxe, an opening, an angle to connect that shotgun shot. No heals in the inventory, but now they get right into the action, get a crack onto their opponent. 25 white 2 times, one more shot needed. Can they connect it? Unable to. As now, do they leave with that damage? Do they continue to try and find that elimination? They could use an impact here. It looks like they're in need of shields.
Yeah, they're still looking for him. They just don't know where he went. He was able to lose him on the tail end of that chase. All that damage that they're really not able to capitalize on him, but at least they're above the damage threshold. That's going to be the biggest and most important thing so far, as you see where the zone is pushing a lot of these teams. As Naze and Psycho Evans, they were the ones that have the best position high up off the ground, but it isn't ultimate height like we've seen so far. And 8th zone might be a little too soon, but the sniper shots and the pressure is going to continue for this team unless anybody decides to challenge them.
Really depends where this first moving closes. We'll know that information in about 13 seconds here when 8th closes. Sened, though, what's gone wrong? Duo partner has been eliminated. Now forced to use those dashes to get back into the zone. 140 above, even without his duo. With no more shields, no more heals. An impact is what he's looking for next.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned, by himself. Decent material, especially when it comes to the hard mats, but he's just knocking on the door, firing and flip monk. Doesn't like what he sees. Shows that nobody's pushing out. Nobody's giving him any information. So he's going to try to stagger himself. Take a breath of fresh air. Gather information about other teams around and wait for the next zone to pull. Because that's going to be his best chances to find any bit of storm surge or an opportunity to take somebody down.
Pablo Ingu Bevies making use of the bushes here. With 3 elims on the board, they are still 86 below the threshold. You can see they're kind of a little bit more desperate now, looking for angles and shots. But nothing too risky has been done yet.
This is a team right here, Pablo and Bevies. I think they know how to battle back from adversity. They've done it so many times before. They just need to dig deep and figure out the strategy that meets this situation. Yarko has been through the ringer so far, but still figuring out ways to survive and thrive. Not only is he above the damage threshold, he almost has nothing to worry about from here on out. 31 players, the shots finally bleed through. That's going to be the shields gone just like that, but with layer switches, he's using a ton of material. Only 5 builds left, but at least he has a chance to breathe, and with the Flowberry Fizz, he could try to strike down from above.
He's got to be careful here. Just one shotgun shot could be enough to take him out. Looks like this is where he's going to play the med kits. Has 2 of them. Is he going to keep rotating in before using the last one? It looks like he will. With only 4 builds left, though, he has to be careful. Yarko slipping. Ankle's almost broken there, down to 25 HP. As now he has to be forced to use this med kit.
Oh, because he just landed a shot on the Sky Dune to the backside of zone. At least he's going to possibly get credit for another elimination. Makes further enough that way to pop the med kit, staggering himself back. Elimination will be cleaned up. Not the full knock on the team, though, so no placement points just yet. As Skies and Script, they're trying to move through. They don't want to go towards that ultimate low ground. They know how dangerous it could be. A nice flank by Yarko, but Oliver is going to be the one to take him out.
Moneymaker for 9, both together. This is huge if they want to stay up. Looking like they're trying to take more of an elevated layer here, not completely on height, but we're using materials and builds from previous duos now. Looking to see if there's even an opportunity or angle for them to jump into a old tarp. As they continue dropping down, continue taking shots, still grouped up here. They do not have enough materials to build their own tarp, so they're trying to find what they can recycle.
Yeah, they can't let anybody sneak up on them either. They got to be on their toes as Pablo's in the same spot, but just a few more builds to work with. Gets targeted from above, and that's why you see him build that extra box outward. He wants room. As Moneymaker gets spotted out, Pablo lands a couple of shots, but it's not going to be enough to follow up on just yet.
3 med kits. Zone does pull back, though. This is huge for Pablo, as Andalex now forced up the ridge, up the hill. An incredibly difficult rotate to get yourself out of, especially with the amount of duos that are rotating up from below. You can see they're all jumping around like fishes flopping in the water as Andalex gets knocked. Sato as well eliminated. Pablo still using the med kit.
No builds, no heals to stay alive. They were just looking up that mountain, know that they finally met their maker. As Grimes, Capper, they're trying to smoothly move through this build, stay ahead of the zone. They have the legendary banana, 3 different chug splashes as well, and that's just on 1 player. It's not going to be a clear-cut win condition, but it's enough to keep them going further and further in this game. Pablo trying to do the same, use his last med kit, use his splashes, finally making it to zone, but this is where he finally goes down to firing.
Makes it in, instantly dropped. Eclipse, Deckzee up above, looking to close it out though. Question is, do they have med kits? Do they have heals, or do they need to go for those eliminations? We can see Flipmonk behind in zone. Is he trying to retake height from the back? Does he want to play heal off early? Caper still below. Pressure being applied from above. Flipmonk now trying to get into the box. Successful with the elimination, but goes down as well.
That was amazing. They were on the high ground, worried about where they're going to get the heals from. You saw none in their inventory, but Deckzee and Eclipse, that's the way the games have been going today. The team on the high ground, calm, cool, collected, comfortable, while everything down below is just pure chaos that they don't have to take part in. And just like that, the snap of a finger, 3 teams go down, and they're gifted the win.
I think it's like the second time we've seen this today, Jacob, where the duos on height don't even have to use the heals. They're literally just sitting up top, chilling. Everybody on low gets eliminated. No work needed. Victory royale secured. Great way to play it by the books. But I'm curious how that's going to shake up the leaderboard. So, Frankie, what you got for us?